Okay, it's literally just going through now.
Wolves have ended talks with Lille over the signing of midfielder Renato Sanchez after the two clubs failed to find an agreement on a loan deal.
Perfect, lads. Okay, we're live on YouTube. It's literally just going through now.
Wolves have ended talks with Lille over the signing of midfielder Renato Sanchez after the two clubs failed to find an agreement on a loan deal.
Perfect, lads. Okay. Oh, I got to we're live on YouTube. Just doing that. Going through now. Cool. Can you both hear me all right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Welcome back to the official Arsenal Vavel channel. We've got a couple of guests on today. We're going to be talking about transfer deadline day. We've got Namdi back on. You're a regular now, aren't you, bro?
Yeah, man. You might just leave me here.
Yeah. So Namdi back on. How are you, man? You good?
Yeah, bro. I'm good. Pleasure as always, man. Thanks.
Always a pleasure, man. And we've got a debutant making his first appearance on the channel. We've got Sam. How you doing, man?
No, I'm good, man. Pleasure to have me.
It's great to have you both on, and we're going to talk about transfers. We're going to talk about deadline day. We're going to talk about Arsenal, and we're also going to talk about Chelsea because Sam is a Chelsea fan. But where's a better place to start really than an incoming? I know there's a lot of outgoings at the moment at Arsenal, but we do have an incoming. It's looking like Japanese international tech hero Tomiyasu from Bologna will be signing for Arsenal. A right back, Namdi has been calling for a right back for a while now. Namdi, what's your kind of reaction to that deal? Obviously, the news broke this morning, and you've had a bit of time to digest it now. But what's your reaction to that?
Yeah. So like I said, so this morning, I said I'd be lying if I knew too much about him. It is a signing that's gone under the radar. It wasn't a target that was, the names on fans' lips. Like you're thinking of like the likes of Max Sirens and stuff. It's a signing that's proper come just as a surprise. But obviously, once you look at him, he obviously he does fit into looks like the direction that we're going in with these young signings. How is he? 22? 22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah,
22. Cheap. Showing some promise. One thing I would say about him, of the small research that I have done, is that he is tall and very defensive minded, which is the complete opposite to what we have on the other side with Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only thing I could really say about him, is that we obviously see how he fits in. He does look good on the ball. He will shore us up defensively, bring us some height to the back four as well. But only time will tell with how he actually fits in.
Do you see that? Obviously, he's quite a versatile player. I don't know if you tuned into Fabrizio Romano's tune earlier, but he said that he can play right centre back, he can play right back, and you can also do a job at left back. Do you think a versatile player is what we need, or do you think right now we need someone that is a specialist in that area?
Yeah, I don't see versatility is always a bonus, but I don't think that is what we need right now. I think we do need a solid start every week, bomb down the right flank, right back. I think that's what we needed. Whether he can be that, only time will tell. But I don't. I mean, there's cover at centre back. There's cover at centre back, and I don't think that's what we needed right now. But you never know.
Yeah, no worries. Sam, we're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea. Can we expect any incomings at Stamford Bridge, do you reckon, today on deadline day?
I'd probably say no. I don't see Sal Niguez leaving. I feel like Atletico Madrid have kind of like, they'd only let him go if they could replace him. And I don't feel like it's urgent for them to do that. Jules Koundé, like, I feel like there's just a fundamental clash. And with like Chalobah and kind of like just how deep our centre backs are already, I feel like they're not going to break the bank for anyone.
No.
Yeah, so I'd probably say no.
Do you think letting Zuma go to West Ham was a bit of a mistake, or do you think that was a deal that needed to happen?
I feel like out of all of our centre backs, I would say, based on watching all of them, Chalobah included, Zuma's probably the one who hasn't adjusted best to being in a five. So
Okay,
I would have felt that like if anyone had to go, it would have been him. I feel like
sure.
Christensen and Silva have like the middle centre back spot is theirs. The left, Rudiger's kind of like made it his. The right is like Aspilicueta and Reece James when they swap sometimes. And
Mm,
I'll just say that like for Zuma, it just felt like sometimes he was never a nailed on starter, similar to Tamori. So I'm annoyed that he's had to leave, but I'm happy for him at the same time because like you deserve to be like a starter in a team as good as West Ham.
sure, sure. Would you say you're happy with Chelsea's business overall this summer? Obviously, Lukaku kind of being the main incoming. Would you say you're happy now that it looks like your window's done with what you've the business you've completed?
I would have liked a midfielder to kind of like shore up the squad, and that didn't need to be like a new 40 million player. It could have
Mm,
been like Gilmore. I know Angerin was still about, but I guess with Lukaku, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm not happy. We had our needs, addressed them quickly.
mm,
Needed a goal scorer. Is it Haaland? Like no, but also I kind of would have rather had Lukaku now for how much we
mm,
got him than however much Haaland would have cost before his release clauses
mm.
activates. So I'd say I give it like a 9 out of 10, 9 out of
Sure.
10.
Okay.
Are you
His
hearing
release
this?
clause.
Oh, it's not Haaland, but I mean, I'll take him. These Chelsea, swear down.
Yeah, his release clause next summer, if I'm not mistaken, it's only like 75 million, isn't it? Which is
Yeah,
crazy when you think this summer they were asking for somewhere in the region of like, you'd be talking like 150, 75, maybe even 200. But Lukaku, if Haaland's 200 and Lukaku is only what, 97, something like that, that's half the price for not half the player, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you think,
yeah, 100.
so for what you're paying, I think Lukaku, he's still only 27 as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously we'll touch on it briefly. I know me and Namdi probably won't want to touch on it too much, but obviously Arsenal played Chelsea. What was it? 2 weeks ago now. Pablo Mari got absolutely bullied by Lukaku. Chelsea just were the much better team on the day. Kind of outplayed us. Namdi, have you kind of been able to digest that one anymore since? I know you've had some dreadful results since that game, but how's that Chelsea game left you feeling? Do you feel like we can maybe compete with them at some level this season?
Compare it to the City game, we only kept it down to 2. So I mean, that's not too bad.
True.
But nah, we're not. Unfortunately, no, we're not anywhere. We're not in their league right now, which is it's a damning situation to be in. And to look at that and look at where our club are right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
if we are trying to compete with Chelsea, then we're being deluded because we're not. Chelsea are more or less the finished article. Like Sam said, all he was looking at was maybe like a midfielder to shore up the midfield, whatever. But we're not there. We're still in transition, unfortunately, and they are not. So
Yeah, no, I
that
agree with
that's,
you.
that result wasn't a surprise at all.
No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. Just obviously, I kind of asked Sam on that one there. For you, Namdi, what would be the perfect outcome for Arsenal this transfer deadline day? What would come at 11 o'clock when the window closes? I believe it is. What would make you sit back and go, okay, like I'm impressed with that. Like we can go into the season, I can feel confident now.
Um, for me, to look at this transfer window and come out with a bit more optimism, 2 things would have to happen. First of all, one thing that we've been talking about and which I it's a bit of a slap in the face to the fans because we was told from the start of the summer that it's going to be one of the biggest squad overhauls in Arsenal history and and it hasn't happened. That needed to happen. So players like Nketiah, Lacazette, Kolasinac, Elneny, those sort of players that are still somehow employed by us need to be got rid of. And that's not happened. So that'd be one thing that would have to happen, of course. And it would add into that list. I mean, we saw that. I know you guys probably going to touch on the Maitland-Niles situation as well, but that sort of stuff, like it's just the squad is so toxic right now. The club is so toxic, and when you're carrying around players like that aren't getting game time, don't want to be there, what's the point? So that'd be one thing that I think needed to get sorted out. And also, once you are getting rid of those deadwood squad players, you do obviously have to bring in players that are actually going to come and push our first team players. For example, Shaq is a walking liability at times. So when you've got that, and you've got Aouar, who's literally been begging for a move from Lyon all summer, that's one signing that I feel like I just have no idea how Arsenal haven't gone in for.
Yeah, I'd say Basuma too in that kind of bracket. Like another player that made it very clear he wanted to come to Arsenal. I saw someone tweet the other day saying, "How do we go to Brighton with 50 million and not come back with Basuma?"
Yeah.
Sam, what do you make of the whole situation at Arsenal at the moment? Like, obviously, it's very. Anyone can say Arsenal looks a mess at the moment, but what do you kind of make from it? Do you see any positives from for Arsenal fans? Do you think that the future might be bright for them, or do you just think it's a complete disaster class right now?
I feel like with Arsenal, it's always weird, because when I look at Arteta, like I don't see like a bad coach. I don't see like a bad manager. I see like a guy who's trying to enact his ideas into like kind of like an upcoming crop of players. But the problem kind of is that Arsenal as an institution is kind of just wrong. Like, they don't make the right signings, they waste money, they hang on to players for too long. And like from there, I'm like, okay, Arsenal will never really, like, there's a ceiling. And I feel like there's been a ceiling at Arsenal for like the last, probably from the Emirates era, like near the end of Wenger's time, Emery came, and there's been that same ceiling of like mediocrity, except like the standards are just getting lower and lower. I feel like the problem with Arteta is that he's not necessarily the biggest issue at the club, and he's not experienced enough, I feel, to navigate how deeply intertwined like the issues of the administration, the ownership, the fans, some of the players, and then you get into a lot of these kind of like polarizing situations, like the Maitland-Niles, Ozil, and it's like, obviously, you can say on the pitch certain players aren't playing that well, but then behind the scenes, a lot of that does feed into that. And I do sometimes wonder whether Arteta is so like good at the technical side of how to play football, how to do that maybe is the man management as great as it should be. Is it that, the ownership is as great that it should be? And those are kind of like, those kinds of issues will linger in the back. But, when you lose 5-0 to Man City, when you get lose to Brentford, when you lose to Chelsea, it's always going to be Arteta out. Arteta's the face of all the issues. But Arteta goes, you get a new person in tomorrow, nothing's going to change overnight. Even if you got Guardiola in, it'd have to be a real commitment to just an overhaul of just how Arsenal as a club is run. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you there. And I think that's a good insight. We're going to end this window being the highest spenders in the league. It's going to be somewhere, obviously, before today. I think we were on about 129 million spent. And then you're looking at this new deal for this right back being at around 15, 16 million pounds. So you're looking at, around near enough 150 million on transfer fees spent this summer. Where's it gone wrong, Namdi? Because you look at that squad and you're saying in some ways we like right now are looking weaker than last season, and we spent nearly 150 million. Like, we should have been able to spend that and have some serious talent. But I think you said it yourself as well. It's quite underwhelming, some of the players we brought in. Like, where's it gone wrong?
In that aspect, the only place you can really say that has gone wrong is with Edu and Arteta, and obviously they are the guys at the top of obviously Arteta became manager from being coach, and they are the guys in charge of the transfers. And yeah, if you're looking at our recruitment, it has to be looking at the top, and of course, like, it's not just this season. It's things from years prior that have now come led to the season, has now prohibited us from probably buying players that we wanted to. For example,
Willian can only be described as a failure of a signing, unfortunately. Players that I personally don't believe it's clear as day that they aren't good enough for us to be where we want to be. Cedric, Pablo Mari, those sort of players that are just that we okay, fine. If you're gonna have them as squad players, fine, but squad players cannot be starting against Man City and Chelsea. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So when we come and say now that okay, fine, we have spent what I think it's coming up to about 150 million now this transfer window with the Tomiyasu signing. You say that, and then you have to really scratch your head and ask yourself, where have we really improved? Really. Ramsdale's not ready to take over from Leno yet. Odegaard's still got a lot to show. The writers on the wall for Tomiyasu, we don't know what sort of player he is. And Tavares as a backup left back, Lokonga is another promising one. It's those sort of signings are maybe good in the next 3-4 years, but none of those players are going to change our fortunes right now, which is what we needed. Successive 8th place finishes. We didn't need. We needed something to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Sam Dean's just put out a tweet saying that I've just kind of realised this, but so as it stands, Arsenal are heading for Tomiyasu, and he says that's around £17 million. And today, Bellerin will leave on loan, no option, no obligation. Nelson will leave on loan, obviously, again, no option, obligation. And apparently, Runarsson the same, no option or obligation on a loan. And apparently, it will take a better offer than a straight loan for Maitland-Niles to leave. And Kessia and Kolasinac are set to stay as it stands. How does that make you feel? Just knowing that?
Listen, while Sam's here, what Sam was talking about before, I think it was really important if you compare that to where Arsenal are at right now. Chelsea just came off winning the Champions League. Yeah, they just came off winning the Champions League, and instead of staying where they were, maybe putting, I don't know, giving more time to Werner or whatever, it was clear to see that Werner had a whole year and he wasn't what Chelsea needed. And so what did they go do? They went and bought one of the best strikers in the world. Now, I'm not saying that I need Arsenal to go and buy, you know what I'm saying? Because at the position where we're at, we can't go get those players. We don't have the pulling power like Chelsea do. But it's just the essence of Chelsea saw what they needed, got it, and I think Chelsea are clear favourites to win the league right now because of that that savageness and the ruthlessness to be like, we need this player, let's get it done, and it will help the team going forward. But if you compare that to Arsenal, I mean, we're still sitting here. Listen, Xhaka's got his doubts, whatever, but we're still sitting here 5 years from signing him and being like, oh, don't worry, this is his year. He's just give him another chance. Xhaka couldn't last 2 seasons at Chelsea. He couldn't. Lacazette couldn't last that long at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? It's just the ruthlessness of we know where we want to be at, and we know the players that are going to get us there, so we're going to bring them in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's the same with Chelsea and managers. Like you said, those players wouldn't last. Yeah. Mikel Arteta certainly wouldn't last
100%
that long at Chelsea. You saw what they did with Frank Lampard. Even Tuchel himself, I don't know if you guys saw, but Tuchel himself questioned the board's decision when they were signing him. And Tuchel came in, and the rest is kind of, you can see what they've won since they've won the Champions League, and you'd say they've got a stronger squad than last season. Yeah. Would you say that they've improved more than what Arsenal have improved as far as like signings? Like, have Chelsea improved their squad to a higher level than Arsenal have improved their squad this window? So do you think that gap's going to be even bigger come next season, or this season? Sorry.
I can't see how it isn't. If we're looking at the signing of Lukaku, of course, but it's not just that. It's okay. For example, Tammy Abraham. So I'm forgetting someone. Tammy Abraham. Someone else just Zuma. Like, it's the players that, okay, fine, they're surplus to requirements. They've gone for big fees, which now goes, if it is next summer or whatever it is, in January, whatever, they do need to strengthen again. The money and the funds is there to do so. I just don't see how they haven't. Chelsea have had a fantastic transfer window. They haven't had to do too much, but what they have done, they've done very well, and it shows.
you look at outgoings, it's just so frustrating when we can't shift our players.
Yeah.
And then someone like Dan James is going for 30 million.
Are you
30. And apparently Arsenal wanted 20 for Eddie Nketiah. And, well, apparently the deal for Eddie Nketiah wasn't a breakdown in agreements between the clubs. Apparently it was personal terms that broke down. So the rumours are he wanted more money than he was going to get. So you just really do question it. Again, you said it earlier, Ainsley Maitland-Niles was the main man of conversation yesterday. He's come out really quite publicly on his Instagram story saying that he wants to play. He wants Arsenal to give him the chance to go and play. Sam, what do you make of the whole Ainsley Maitland-Niles situation and Arsenal? I don't know about holding to ransom, but there was, just to kind of put the facts in there, apparently Everton were offering like a 2-year loan deal with then an option to buy or something, but Maitland-Niles has only got 2 years left on his contract, so he would be a free agent around that time. Do you think Maitland-Niles is more than like justified to come out, or do you think that's just ill discipline and it should be punished? Like Arsenal are right for saying like we're going to punish you for this.
The Ainsley Maitland-Niles situation is interesting. Like, I feel like when I first saw it, I was like, what? This is just emblematic of another, problems going on in Arsenal, like nothing new. But it is a bit of a weird one. Like, obviously, you had Bellerin, obviously, that season where Maitland-Niles went to West Brom, he wanted to play in midfield, didn't want to be a fullback or whatever. Bellerin got injured, and then Cedric came. And then you can understand that, like, maybe, okay, the relationship isn't as good, with him and Arteta having gone. But the problem I now have is that Maitland-Niles has already kind of like shown in glimpses on that FA Cup run that he's your best, right back, which I think is why past kind of like deals have been rejected with like Wolves. I know Wolves were in for him at one point, and that was they rejected those advances because they wanted to keep him. Now you kind of get to the point now where it's like you have to make a statement and set a precedent, but then you also need to win games. When you're rock bottom of the league after 3 games, you have to kind of like have an approach that, shows that, yes, we want to win, but also I'm the manager here. And if I let, Maitland-Niles back into the side, it might look bad on me. But this comes down to, I think, a bigger problem with Arteta, where it's kind of like, you can't let your kind of like feelings kind of like intervene in, what's best for the team, especially when you're not looking that great. You're not looking good at all. It's kind of like the whole, which is why there's been debates about, is Odegaard even better than, Ozil when he was old and his final seasons and stuff like that, because it's like, you're trying to move the club past certain people, but on the pitch, it's not going forward. So it's like, if you want to make those statements, you better bring a guy in that's, better than Maitland-Niles and end that conversation completely. But if guys are thinking, why is Maitland-Niles being frozen out or not being allowed to leave? But, we've sent Bellerin on loan, we're allowing Bellerin to go, or, we've got Cedric who, guys might not think is good enough, or Chambers who guys may not think are good enough. It just creates that toxic environment where Arteta needs to prove something. So I feel like if he can prove that, Maitland-Niles, we're going to, get his head down, and I'm not going to let him leave because I've got plans to reintegrate him into the squad and become the number 1 right back, then cool. But then if next couple games, guys are seeing Cedric starting or Chambers starting, people are going to be like, it's just a baffling decision that is shrouded in like red tape. And it just feels like that's a lot of things with like Arteta and Edu, which just rightfully annoys a lot of fans.
Namdi, do you think Maitland-Niles is well within his right to come out on his Instagram story and post that, or do you think Arsenal are fair for saying, well, hold on a second, you are an employee at our club, we pay you to do this. And if an offer is not deemed suitable for you, we're obviously going to reject it. Which side do you stand on that?
Sentiment aside, obviously I love the player, but sentiment aside, obviously at the end of the day, there does have to be an element of professionalism, and he overstepped that boundary yesterday. Arsenal, if for anything, I mean, for once now they are trying to actually get a suitable transfer fee, and for a player of quality, he's a good player. Let's not forget he was an England international this time last year. And they got good money for Willock, so I can't see why they couldn't get money for Maitland-Niles if that is what he wants. But at the same time, you do have to look at it and scratch your head. I think there was a tweet that came out from Ornstein yesterday that said that when he came back from loan from West Brom, that he was now ready to play right back, which doesn't really make any sense because he is head and shoulders before us signing this new right back. He's head and shoulders the best right back at our club right now. Bellerin hasn't been it for well over 2 years now. Chambers is not a right back. Cedric Suarez, I don't even get into him, but Maitland-Niles is the best right back at our club. And if he's come and said he's got his head down and ready to play right back, I just don't understand how Arteta couldn't see that and actually play him, which is why I'm not defending what he did yesterday, but I can understand him. You're probably the best right back at our club. You're ready to play. Ready to make a difference in the team, and you can see people that are clearly not up to your level starting over you, and then you've now got an opportunity to go and play again, and that's now blocked for whatever reason. I'm not supporting what he did. It is wrong, and he does deserve to be punished. But can you blame the kid, really?
Yeah, he's
24. He's
yeah. He's not like a young academy boy anymore.
Yeah.
Like he needs to be playing regular football.
To be playing.
100%. But like I've had some people speak to me about this, and you ask this question, and excuse me, they say like, is this a worrying characteristic that Mikel Arteta shows?
Yes.
Freezing these players out. You've got the likes of Ozil was kind of the first one. You've had Guendouzi, you've had the whole Saliba situation, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Is this a worrying characteristic for some of our players? And does this show that Mikel Arteta cannot deal with these players? He can't control these players with maybe egos, or we all know Guendouzi's got a big personality. Is this a worrying kind of thing?
Definitely. It's not obviously, it's not fair on Arteta to obviously compare him to obviously previous regimes and that sort of stuff. But I mean, this stuff didn't happen under Wenger, you know. These man management issues. Wenger was legendary at being able to control personalities, big personalities. And when they weren't right for the club, they were gone. I just feel like time and time again with under Arteta, we've seen him fail to just put an arm around the shoulder of a player and say, you know what, you're either here or you're not. We've seen it with Guendouzi, we've seen it with Saliba, we've seen it with Niles now, we've seen it with Ozil before, we've seen it with Mustafi. It's time again, we've just seen a player that is, for whatever reason, good enough or not good enough, fine, but there is a way to do things and to conduct yourself.
I like Socrates as well. He was made to play in the under-23s for like half a season. For a player that's at the end of his career, that's just kind of a bit of a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face. It's disrespectful. And the thing is, I mean, okay, Sam will know about this, but I mean, we was grown. I grew up on us being called class on one, and us, you know, there was a way that we operated ourselves, you know, and everyone that left Arsenal had good things to say about it. I don't think they can say those things anymore. The reason why this one's a bit different as well is Ainsley Maitland-Niles has been at the club since the age of 6. This is a Hale End boy, you know,
one of our own,
one of our own, and that's, come on now, this is just, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do think it's a problem, and I haven't seen any hint at it stopping or being resolved.
Yeah, so we'll move on from Arsenal a bit. We are gonna be doing a Twitter space on our Twitter at Arsenal Vavel 1. So make sure to come and join us after. If you are watching some catch up, feel free to watch any replays of any streams we've done today. But we're going to move on. We're just going to talk about the Premier League as a whole and the transfer window. And this transfer window has been one of the craziest ones I've ever experienced. You've had Ronaldo and Messi both moving in the same window. You've had some pretty ridiculous moves in the Premier League, outside the Premier League. But Sam, what kind of moment for you stood out as I remember that? Like, what move just blew your mind?
Like for me, obviously I'm biased, innit? So Lukaku to coming back, I think for me it was like it felt surreal. Like even when I watched him play against Arsenal, like it just didn't feel real. Like so that was amazing. I was really happy to see a lot of the academy players from Chelsea leave. So like Livramento, Lewis Bate, I know Angelin's going on loan, Abraham, like a lot of some of the kind of like disrespected players, Zuma. I was glad to see them kind of like get new lease of life. But the super team in Paris, yeah, I can't lie. Like I was watching the video where they like unveiled them all at like the Parc de France, and it was like I was getting goosebumps when like all the fans were just shouting like all the. I was just like, no, this is crazy. And then obviously even Grealish going to Man City.
Yeah, 100 million.
There's so many I couldn't even name it. So I'm just gonna have to go Lukaku. That's my highlight.
Okay, I respect that. The PSG window was something else. It was like something on football career mode.
Yeah.
When you look at Sergio Ramos going from Real Madrid, Donnarumma, Gini Wijnaldum, Messi. Have I missed anyone there? That was just an insane window that they've had.
Hakimi,
Hakimi, of course. Yeah, that's it. That's like the only guy that actually spent like money on, wasn't it? Like a transfer fee on. But some of those deals were ridiculous. But Namdi, what about you, man? Which move just blew your mind this summer?
Which move blew my mind?
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be Nuno Tavares, man. What a chance to sum it up. Listen, even as an Arsenal fan, Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to Man United is just the stuff of dreams. Like, oh my days, like, I just remember. I don't go on.
The way it happened as well. The transfer, it just was like 1 minute he's going to Man City, then an hour later, United have announced that they've signed him.
It was like that. I remember that day. It was like a week ago, and I remember that they were just like. I remember just checking my phone. I was out that day, just checking my phone, and it was he was going to City, and then it was all these United fans coming out saying, "No way!" and he's coming. He's United. I think I don't know if Danny, you remember that goal in 08 from flipping miles away, that free kick in the Champions League against us. Do you remember?
Oh my, yeah, you didn't have to remind me of that, bro.
Like it's just Cristiano Ronaldo back at Man United. You actually couldn't write that. You couldn't write that script. So I think that's the signing of the summer for me.
Do you think United like? Taking all kind of opinions aside on this one, does that mean United have to be competing for this league? Because some United fans I've spoken to have said, and like we have some of the best players, we have the best players in the league. Oh, but we're not competing for the league this season. Do you think that's unfair? Do you think United fans like they're up there and they should be expected to be competing for this Premier League title?
What do you think, Sam?
It's a weird one. Like for me, you would expect so because Ronaldo is like amazing. He's one of the world's best ever. That blah 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 blah. But fundamentally, when I look at United and I watched them play against Wolves when they won 1-0, that was a terrible performance. That was shambolic. The midfield is like it's the same problems that have been reoccurring. Like you've got like Fred gets forward, Pogba gets forward. It's like they're always chasing the game. You don't have any control of the ball from deep. It's just always frantic. And it's like that's not something that Ronaldo is going to change. That's not something that, Sancho is going to change. And I know everyone will say, oh, but he spent this amount and got Varane and all of those. They're just bolstering a unbalanced system, if that makes sense. And I don't see how that makes them now any more defensively assured. They'll still have games this year like where they go to Southampton and they huff and puff and concede and then drop points. And then they might be home to Brentford, huff and puff, drop points, that kind of stuff. I don't see that changing. But obviously the attack you could make an argument it's the best in the league. I personally wouldn't say that. I think Manchester City, even without a striker, still have a better attack. But it'll be interesting to see maybe in like the cup competitions how they do, because I know Champions League, in the past years they've kind of like bottled. They've gone out with a whimper, went out with a whimper in the Europa League to Villarreal. I said, I know certain man here, their team did the same, so I won't talk on that too much. I said my team. I said when it was Super Cup, you know who turned up. You know who turned up. But yeah. So Ronaldo, I feel like he brings a different level in terms of like mentality and
100%.
that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how like maybe in the cup competitions. But in a 38 game season, I don't even see them as being better than Liverpool. And I think Liverpool are losing recipes over there. They're losing recipes, and their best players are on the decline. So I feel like if they can get Ruben Neves, or if they can get like a shored up midfielder before deadline day, I'll take it all back. But as of right now, nah.
Yeah, I think their midfield is definitely their weakest point. It's a shame though, because I don't know about how you boys feel, but Paul Pogba for me is one of the best central midfielders there is in the world, in world football. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer plays him on the left. He plays him on the wing a lot of the time in like a diamond midfield. He's changed it around. He has that kind of, well, they call it McFred partnership in midfield. I think, like you said, it's an unbalanced system, and their midfield is definitely somewhere that they could improve and they should improve. They've been crying out for a defensive midfielder this whole window. And it'll be interesting to see with United this season. But again, I think Ronaldo, like you said, it's a mentality guy. He's just a big game mentality player, isn't he? Or even if his ability can't back it up the same way it used to, he's still a big game player, and you've got to fear him in those big games. But yeah, Nami, what do you make of United this season? Do you think they'll be a force to be reckoned with, or do you think that they haven't really improved in the correct areas?
I think they've had a good window. I think a good window. They've strengthened where they needed to, but unless Ronaldo is going to come and play number 6, I still don't think they're going to win the league. I don't like to oversimplify things, but I don't think you can win the league with Fred or McTominay in midfield. So I just think it's that simple, really.
Yeah, no, that's true. Right, lads, we're gonna wrap it up there. Cheers for both coming on. We'll definitely get you both on some more videos in the future on the channel. But yes, transfer deadline day. It is 11 o'clock tonight, the deadline, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we've got until 11 o'clock tonight. We'll be covering it all on Arsenal Vavel at our Twitter at Arsenal Vavel1. Do you boys just want to kind of plug what you do 1 second, where people can find you? Sam, do you want to just go first and just...
My Twitter at _Sam Akpan. I do the Pure 10 podcast, write a bit. So yeah, literally anything I do just be on my Twitter. So yeah, get me there.
Make sure to drop him a follow. And Nandi, for those that don't know already, I'm sure most people do on this channel, but where can people find you and what do you do?
Yeah, subscribe to the Talk Your Talk podcast. We've got some great things coming. You'll see these two on there a lot as well for this coming season. But subscribe to the Talk Your Talk podcast. All our socials will be on our channel as well. And man, get involved.
100%. Well, cheers, lads, for coming on. The clock is ticking, tic-tac. We see it all on Twitter at the moment. Hopefully, I don't know, any more incomers at Arsenal, maybe something can come out the blue. Fabrizio said Aouar's not coming, but who knows what could happen. Cheers, lads, for coming on. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for future episodes, and we'll catch you again soon.